I would want to survey consumers coming to malls in Chembur. Because of convenience, I am selecting this place, right? But convenience sampling will not give you proper results. So that is not a recommended sampling method. And secondly, when I talk about surveying, when you prepare a questionnaire, we often believe that people above 18 should be interviewed or should be chosen as respondents, because only at the age of 18 it is believed that they are matured enough to participate in a research as samples. So quite often we have seen people surveying school children on screen time and all those things. They may not get accurate results. So people are matured enough to be respondents, personally responding when they are 18 or over 18 years of age. I would like to mention that to you. So now talking about editing for tabulation. We just saw editing for quality. Editing for quality is ensuring if your questions are all fully answered. All the data, the questionnaires, interview schedules you circulated among people have all been responded, all the questions, and they are free from any bias or influence of any of the researcher. But then again, if it is going to be a recording also should be free of errors. It can be, the errors can be technical also. It should be free from the technical error. It should be audible enough. It should be such a way that respondent responds as per his response, not the influence. And all the inconsistencies should be removed, right? And there are also evidences to be showing, we should have enough evidence to show that if the enumerator is not biased or dishonest, etc., and does not manipulate the data as per his requirement. When we talk about editing for tabulation, quite often we find that certain data may have to be eliminated. Certain questionnaires may need to be eliminated if it is falling in, supposing my sample size was 20 to 60 years of age of people, and I have a person, just one person, a person in 19 has responded, I may need to eliminate that. Or if a person over 65 has responded, I may need to eliminate that, because I need to formulate and tabulate. Even if I have not fixed the age limit, in case I just have one respondent of each of these categories, 19 years of age and 65 years of age, बाकी सारे के respondents are within the age group of 60, between the age group of 20 and 60, and only these two respondents I may remove their response, because it will not help me tabulate the data properly. Now there is another type of editing called as field editing. Field editing is basically majorly it is used if it is going to be an observation type of data collection, right? So what is going to happen in field editing is, field editing means wherever the researcher or the enumerator is, if I go and collect personally and if I go and interview somebody personally, I will edit the data that I need. I will write in abbreviated language. Abbreviated matlab short form. Like, see, supposing I want to write female, I may write FML, right? So it indicates female. So these things may be, and if I have written it in illegible handwriting, I will know. I will have to rectify it, right? Correct it before I actually compile the data. If it is going to be an interview, I may need to take only that response which is going to be useful for my study, relevant for my study. I may not take everything. If it is going to be an observation method, I will observe and record only that information which is going to be relevant for my study. Right? Now, this is called as field editing, where I'm doing it then and there in the field. When I'm surveying, if I have to go to places and survey, I will survey there and then edit it as per my requirement. And if I'm going to be writing it down, if it is not going to be in a proper handwriting, Gandhi handwriting mein likha, then I will do it then and there itself. It's easier, because after coming here, I may forget what I have written. I may break my head to find out what I had actually written. And then when I talk about Centralized editing, it talks about I will get all the questionnaires to a place, and while it is being processed or entered, I am going to check out what information is missing, what are the possible errors that could have happened. Instead of taking, somebody has ticked between male and female, so what could that be? All these errors are done at a place where it is going to be further processed. So there are two types of editing, three types of editing basically. Field editing, centralized editing are the major categories. Otherwise based on the purpose, it is editing for quality and editing for tabulation. I just make an annotation here so that you remember the purpose. See, based on the purpose for what it is done, quality and for tabulation purpose, making tabulation easier, we have 1 and 2. Based on where it is done or when it is done, 3 and 4, field editing and central editing. Are you following? Editors must actually bear in mind certain points when they are performing their work. First of all, they should follow only those instructions given to the interviewers and coders as well with editing. Like whatever instruction they are given, they should be familiar, right? We may have editors separate and researchers separate, right? So they need to be editing, like small research, like all these chota mota papers we send, we are the editors. We researchers are editors. But companies, when they do at corporate level or when they do at a bigger level, government level, editors are different and they are given with instruction. They should know what instructions are given to them, right? And how interviewers have been instructed and how coders have been instructed. All these things are very, very essential, right? They have to be coordinated, communicated well. And from original entry to what they need to have it in the same single line, and they need to do it neatly and legibly, right? They need to do it neatly and legibly. If it is going to remain, if it is going to be full of illegible things, you're not going to follow whatever you have edited. There is no point. And therefore, any editor must keep in mind that, just give me a second. See, if it is going to be a male, supposing I'm segregating between questionnaires which are filled in by male respondents and female respondents, I may put a green tick on female respondents questionnaire and a red tick in the male respondent and segregate them. That is also this thing. And based on the age group also, when I separate them, I may segregate them if it is going to be physical questionnaire, right? And again, we should see all the answers which change or supply. If there is a change, I should also make a mark. I have changed the response of this particular question and that particular questionnaire. Even if it is going to be Google form, wherein I get all the responses recorded in the Excel sheet, I may make a marking. I've changed this response. I have changed this, questionnaires response and this particular question I may mark, right? I may say any editor has to, any person working should autograph his work. If you have heard of this saying, autograph your work, which means if I've written a letter, I will have to sign it or initial it. So here also, editor initials and the date of editing should be placed on each completed form or schedule. Every single questionnaire's completed data after editing should be placed in the way it has to be. Like now what happens here is when it is going to be data editing, after this Google form has come, it's become so convenient. I get their responses recorded. The same thing can be transferred to my Excel sheet, which has made my job very, very easy. So what I do, I get the respondent's email ID or whatever field. All the fields are filled in different Excel sheet. In an Excel sheet, हर column में age में आता है, age वगैरह सब fill up होके आता है, right? मतलब I'm able to convert all the responses given to me in the Google form into Excel sheet, right? So that I don't need to sit and enter everything. Are you following this? So editing becomes very, very easy. If there is anything that is not relevant, or if a particular respondent has not responded properly, I can delete that line. That row can be deleted if I don't want to keep his response, if it is incomplete. So this is what an editor must, he should be familiar with all the instructions given to the interviewers, coders, and then he should see, I mean, if it is physical questionnaire, he has to make a mark saying that this questionnaire has been recorded, this question has been recorded. Every single question he records on his data entry tool like Excel, he has to keep making marks. And then if he is changing the response of any color, this thing, he has to do it in a different color. And it has to be standard. So somewhere yellow, somewhere red, somewhere pink, it doesn't work, right? And all the initial answers, right, should, if they change again, or if they are responding wherever there is no response, that also has to be marked with a symbol or a color. And finally, he has to initial. Now what happens is, if it is going to be Google form, everything is going to be converted to Excel sheet. And if whatever you mark, you can just mark with a yellow shade or a pink shade or whatever suits you. And also, if a particular response has not been done properly, if a respondent has not responded properly, you can delete that group conveniently. So with that, as of now, we just saw what is data editing. Today we spoke about what is a pilot study, what is a pre-testing. I told you to remember the difference. Pilot study is to test the overall relevance and also to help you understand what resources are required for a particular research in terms of time and money and people. It helps you, a pilot study helps you in this. It's like a mock research. Whereas when I talk about pre-testing, you're going to test the data collection tool, interview schedule or questionnaire or whatever. You're going to test the relevance of that. Now, when we talk about data editing, data processing talks about data editing, data coding, data classification, data tabulation, or presenting the data in diagrammatic form, and finally analyzing the data. So this, we started with the first step of data editing, wherein you find out all the relevant responses, remove irrelevant, wherever answers are not there, if possible, you try to answer them, otherwise eliminate that particular response. So with that, I hope you are clear. Can we stop the lecture here for today and continue tomorrow?